Now we're going to take a look at how to take all of our RAW files and synchronize our RAW settings across the board using Camera Raw's Synchronize feature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this JPEG filtering that we have here in Bridge, and I'm going to select tunnel.cr2 and tunnel-2.cr2. And I'm going to open those files in Camera Raw using Command R on the Mac or Control R on the PC. Now once I get into Camera Raw, I have the ability to edit these files just like I normally would. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this image right here, this tunnel.cr2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make some edits to this. I'm going to select the white balance tool, and I'm just going to white balance this really quickly, and I'm going to even warm that up a little bit more. I'm going to increase the exposure just to brighten up the overall image. I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing here on this image simply because for demonstration purposes I'm just setting some arbitrary settings, and then we're going to apply that to another image here in just a moment. So when this will actually be useful is when you have an entire folder of images from a particular shoot. So let's say you've shot a model in a particular setting and you need to adjust the white balance for, let's say, like 250 images. Well, you don't want to go through and adjust each individual image one by one. So the great thing about Camera Raw is its ability to take the settings from one particular RAW file and then unify those settings across the board with all of the different photographs you have selected. So that's exactly what we're going to do here, except we're only doing it for 2 images as opposed to, say, 250. So what we've got here, we've color balanced this image, we've increased the exposure a little bit, and let's just go ahead, we'll increase the blacks a little bit as well just to give this a little bit more variance. And then let's go ahead and we'll select this tunnel-2.cr2 just to show you the difference between these two. So this is the extremely cool muted orange color photograph here. And what we want to do is we want to take the settings from that adjusted image we just created, and we want to apply that to this image here because they were both shot at exactly the same position and exactly the same time of day and everything like that. So I know that the white balance settings and everything are going to be the exact same for this particular photograph. That's one of the things you need to make sure that you remember is that when you synchronize, you need to make sure that you're synchronizing with images that can accept the exact same settings, because if I were to synchronize the settings for that tunnel.cr2 image with an image that had already been warmed up or an image that was already warm to begin with, then this would turn out to be an extremely warm image and it would probably actually hurt the overall composition of the image. So you need to make sure that when you're editing these files that the time of day and the color balance, the temperature, and everything is all the same so that you're only correcting problems and not adding new ones into the equation. So what we're going to do, we're going to select this tunnel.cr2 image first. Then we're going to use Shift and click to select the tunnel-2.cr2. Then I'm going to bring up this synchronize window by clicking this button that says synchronize. Now, you have the ability inside of this synchronization panel to adjust white balance, exposure, recovery, fill light, every single aspect of a Camera Raw file. You have the ability to sync it with all the other files you currently have selected here inside of Camera Raw. I'm going to choose to synchronize all of this, even though I only changed a couple of values, just to kind of show you that that's exactly what it does. It synchronizes every single thing if you want it to. Now, if you only wanted it to sync just the white balance or just the exposure, you could do that simply by unchecking all the rest of these checkboxes. But generally, when you make all these adjustments, you're probably going to adjust almost every single one each and every time, simply because normally when you process RAW files, you do make some sort of adjustment to most of these, if not all of these parameters. So let's go ahead now and we'll go ahead and click OK. And when I do that, you'll notice here we get a live updated preview in this content window on the side of that new and improved image. And if I click on it by itself, you'll notice that we've already synchronized the edits to match that previous file. Now, some of these highlight areas down in here have gotten a little bit too warm for me, and that's simply because of the fact that in the previous image we didn't have those highlighted areas down there, because this is taken at a more extreme angle and zoomed in quite far. So if you find here, this is a prime example of where the synchronization might have been a bad idea, simply because of the fact that it didn't encompass the exact same areas as the previous photograph. But this is a really easy fix, so all you have to do is come back in here. Let's say we wanted to cool down those areas down there, maybe get rid of some of those hot spots. Just turn down the temperature just a little bit here, and we might even decrease the tint a little bit, and then also back off the exposure, and we're starting to correct some of those problems right there. But you can see just how powerful this synchronization method would be if you had an entire folder of images. It's going to save you tons of time, and it's going to make your job a whole lot easier.